Hello, everyone. Welcome to Synchronic Saturdays with Megan and Crystal.
Hello.
So today we're going to jump back into FE because Crystal and I both felt that our last talk about FE, we didn't really get in to the nuances enough. And we were sort of just rambling about it at the beginning, which hopefully you guys enjoyed. But Crystal, I feel, was very on to something.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, if you guys are new to the show, by the way, I'm an ENFJ and Crystal is an ENFP. But yeah, Crystal was getting into sort of the way that FPs can use FE, like according to socionics, that ENFPs and ESFPs would use FE in the demonstrative position, or INFPs and ISFPs have FE in their ignoring position, so they still sort of have access to it. It's strong, but it's not valued. But the ways that they use it and their intentions behind it are very different from the ways that FJs do. So, do you want to jump back into
So last week I was on this kick where we were trying to define that, when FJs are using FE, they're not always being clingy or being dramatic. That's just how they're expressing. And then I was saying that when FPs use FE, often it is kind of evil, it is kind of dramatic, and it is clingy, and it is like controlling. And that's what people might associate with FE by default, because I think FPs in our culture just can be more assertive, like about being pushy and manipulative. So I was trying to make the distinction that you can see both FPs and FJs being super friendly, expressive, emotional, and then like labeled that as FE because it sounds similar, because it's an emotion being exerted or extroverted, but it's different in terms of the internal workings. So what I wanted to get into was that if you see someone using FE, you can't determine their motives unless you know if they're an FJ or an FP. And usually FPs will be the ones that are doing something that might not be so wholesome after all. So I wanted to talk more about that concept today, of what I've seen out of demonstrative FE and FPs, and how I, an FP, kind of learned to read FE as not the demonstrative FE that I recognize myself using when I'm in a super unhealthy mode, but just rooted in TI and rooted in something rational. So I thought that we should really go over that distinction today. I think that,
because before you go into that, I just want to say, for those that might be sort of new to the way it works, oh, it looks like I paused. Can you hear me, or am I paused?
I can hear you. I don't know why. I'm like trying to yeah.
Oh, well, hopefully
it says you're like frozen.
Hopefully it'll work in a few minutes, and if not, it's a podcast, so just like look at my face.
Hopefully you're frozen in a glamorous position, because right now it's like frozen on my face for some reason on my screen, so that's weird, but I can still hear you.
Okay. God damn it, what was I saying? Mercury just went direct. What the fuck? Okay, I was just gonna say it's important to distinguish that ENFPs and like ESFPs have a blind spot in TI, and so every time that you are using FE to exert your emotions, it's not rooted in introverted thinking the way that any healthy FE user, FE is as an exertion coming from the FETI axis. And I feel like when people use those functions that like aren't really rooted, like for me using like NE to compare, I think that people have said that NJs could be weird about like memes, or like have jokes that don't really make sense and are just like weird. And I think it's because when we use NE, it's not really rooted in any sort of SI thing.
Yeah, and I also think that when NJs are paranoid, there is no like way to talk them down.
Yes.
When they're like upset because they don't have any SI to justify why, that can be answered to. And so similarly, when an FP is being manipulative or needy, there's no way to rationally tell them to cut it out, or like rationally tell them why they should change their behavior. They're just going to keep doing it. Oh, there you are. Hello.
Yay. Cool.
Like, they're just gonna keep doing it because they fucking want to. It's rooted in their FI desire that's selfishly overpowering the FE needs of the tribe. And a big reason why I think
And
demonstrative
also
FE,
it's because you guys have TE as well, so it's kind of using both.
yeah, I was actually just getting to that.
Oh,
So it's
sorry.
really funny that, but it's funny to me that you like read my train of thought because you don't always do that. So I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
she's connecting it. But yeah, like I think that TE automatically can know how to get someone to do what you want, like what the literal way of making that happen would be in this like elaborate setup. TE users are like really good at like looking at outside conditions and circumstances and manipulating them in the way that would benefit them if they need to. This is not to say that TE users are manipulative, but that if we needed to orchestrate, we can do it. Like we're masters of game theory. We like understand all these kind of TE tricks.
Both
So then when
FE and TE can manipulate by exerting their influence, but FE will do it by emotions and TE can do it by like the literal people involved in the setting and the conditions. Like EFJs, we aren't manipulating like you. We're putting emotions in the room that then you can react to.
So whenever people talk about being emotionally manipulated, I don't often think that FE is what emotionally manipulates it, because I think of manipulation as it's influencing the introverted function. So to me, someone emotionally manipulating someone would be a TE user as opposed to an FE user. FE users might influence you to logically
gaslight you.
Yeah, they would like
manipulating your brain. TI. Gaslighting.
Yeah, they would manipulate your sense of logic and like what you believe is true. I don't think TE and FI is as good at gaslighting. Yes, that's a good parallel. Emotional people, when people say emotional manipulation, I don't often think they associate gaslighting with it, or maybe I'm wrong. Whatever, comment below.
Yeah.
But like emotional manipulation, people say is like a way to like make someone like do something or make someone. It's kind of like trying to push them like towards something. Gaslighting just makes you question where your footing is now, but emotional manipulation seems to be more like trying to force someone to do something. So to me, I just think of
you could compare it to my ENFP ex that told me I was going to kill myself if I didn't stay with him, or my INTP ex that said that I was crazy and everything I thought was wrong. It still is both emotional.
It's still bad, yeah. Both are bad, but like I feel like an FP will be like, "Stay with me," blah blah blah, and like
making you do like different TE action.
Yeah, like staying with someone after they're trying to break up with you seems to be like a very TE change, as opposed to gaslighting is, wait, give an example of what gaslighting is to you, like as a TI.
Okay.
I think more familiar with it.
I'll look up the definition as well, and then say it in just a bit. But just really the thing I wanted to clarify is that if we're like gaslighting and like verbal abuse, these are like terms in psychology, and psychology has proven that emotions and thoughts both influence each other. So we're not saying that TE emotionally manipulating, like we're trying to distinguish that TE is making you FI feel things and FE is making you TI question things.
Yeah, think questions.
Both of them are like harmful, like because if you are making someone question their own logic and their own sanity, which is what gaslighting is, that still makes you feel bad, you know. And like if you are being emotionally manipulated in like a TE FI way, that's still like, you know, can make you think like, well, why was I stupid enough to let this person do this, you know, like there's still thoughts involved. And so yeah, but we're mostly using these as examples to distinguish things. We aren't saying like this type does that and this type does this, because, you know, unhealthy people can, you know, use both. But I think
because
the point is that like FE is always accused of doing this and you're trying to
precisely. Like I just think that like to me, FJs might like gaslight you more than try to emotionally manipulate you into doing something. Like that's just kind of been my experience. Like I feel gaslighted more than emotionally manipulated. And I think, like you said, it's important to make this distinction because people keep like confusing like how FE is an asshole and how
they
it
keep
isn't.
Assuming that we have TE as well.
Yes.
They think that we have a TE motive, but we're so unaware of our TE that that's why the logic seems completely out out of the ordinary because we are not exerting it very effectively. We don't care to exert it.
Yeah, like you need like TE to be able to know what the outcome you even want is to like emotionally manipulatively push someone toward that. But I think FJs, if they were like in the middle of a breakup, they wouldn't even know anymore if it was like good or not logically to stay together. But like an FP might use FE to be like, oh my God, like I want us to be together. I'm going to force you to do that by crying enough that you'll change your fucking mind.
It's the
like,
same way that like an ETJ might accidentally influence the emotional environment. Like let's say there's an ENTJ or ESTJ boss that comes up with some new policy at work that makes the culture like really weird and everyone hates each other now. Like that's not their intention. They weren't creating that thing to make you feel bad. They just weren't aware of that. Like the same way an EFJ, like when we're expressing our emotions, we aren't trying to make you do something. We're just expressing that.
Yeah. But I think if it's a P or something, I've often seen that because Ps are influenced by TE, whether they're TPs or FPs, because it's like high enough up in our priority in some way that we'll like assume that's what you want. Similarly, I felt gaslighted before by ETJs when they're like trying to implore me to like tell them the truth, and I'm just like, are you gonna tell me the truth so you can tell me that's wrong? Like what? But they actually weren't trying to gaslight me. Similarly, EFJs or FJs or whatever aren't trying to emotionally manipulate you into doing something with TE and like, but people keep thinking that they are, because I do think that I think TPs are like the masters, or no, TPs are masters at like gaslighting because they know what's true and they can like kind of say so. But and I think FPs are the masters of emotional manipulation, but then people keep confusing these poor J's often, I think, with those behaviors, when really I think it's you have to kind of have enough FE and TE to know the dual impacts to know. So in reality, I think it's just a bunch of like fucking P's projecting onto J's what P's are capable of doing when they keep accusing them of doing that.
And it's because P's, they have either an FI or a TI motive to try and exert.
Yeah.
And
I think
we are so unaware of our motives. And also like I am so great at FE, like I can make the vibe of the room feel whatever, but I cannot control the people to do what I want because I don't have TE. I'm also so disconnected from what I want and from what I think that it's like, I think people assume still that with the personality things, like it's so easy to talk about everyone's strengths, but like we also have like direct weaknesses. Like it's impossible for a human to be like so great at like FE, but then also so great at TE as well. Like you have to remember that I'm not good at that. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I think that P's are framed when they see a J so good at one thing that they're basically P's and good at the other thing too. When P's are just kind of mediocre at both. But really, no, the J is like super heavy one way, not balanced the other way. And I don't think people get this as a concept. But yes, precisely. I make this mistake all the time.
It's like we seem so controlling that it's hard to believe that there's a whole area of external reality that we are not in control of, that is in fact control of us.
Yeah, God, it's so funny to me because with feelers, you can have an FJ ask the exact same question as an FP, but two totally different motives. Because, and I've been tweeting about this too, like when you ask why did you do that, you actually don't know. When I ask why did you do that, I have an idea of why you did that. I think it's stupid, which is why I'm rhetorically asking you to make you feel stupid.
Yeah,
but you actually don't know.
That's been a huge thing in our friendship. And it's like, I actually see this on Twitter too, with like people that don't really know each other. Like someone saying, why'd you do that? And they think they're being salty. Like this is a common thing that I feel like humans do to each other. It's like TI trying to figure out.
Yeah. And even if a TI user literally says it like really calmly, I will still read it as TE, because when TE says it, it's being condescending. Like it is. Like, oh my God. I literally have had to like take a step back so many times now. And when I feel myself emotionally be like, how dare you? And I'm like, but maybe they don't mean it that way because people are so different.
I think I actually talked about this in my video with Dominique. Go watch my INFP video with Dommy Cat. I'm almost positive that we talked about how like with her mom, she would be like, why are you crying? her FJ mom.
She actually didn't know, and I was like, you should know why I'm crying, because I assumed they had FI, and so I assumed that they're like shaming me, and so I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah, because I've asked you multiple times, literally even last night you called me and I was like, wait, what are you upset about?
Yeah,
and I wasn't saying
yeah.
that you shouldn't be upset. I just didn't know.
Yeah, it's funny because last night we were having a fight, but to me, I was getting worked up, but I was also like watching myself more than usual because it's been a while since I think we've had a big fight, and I was like thinking,
I
like,
think we were both so calm. Like, honestly, that was a great fight.
yeah, we had a great fight. Basically, it was like you were like, you sound defensive, and I was like, okay, I don't know why I'm defensive, but I do know this, and like you're like, well, I feel this, and I was like, and I would have moments where I was like, ah! Like, you know, as an FP, I'd feel my emotions like get angry. I would like visibly start dramatically like huffing to calm myself down. It actually worked, and I'm like, oh, that's why FPs are so dramatic, because then the emotion does like cycle through and stuff. So I was like, ah! Like, because I spent like all this time like explaining this one thing, and Megan didn't get it, and then I was like, ah! And then I was like, but she's not purposely doing that, Crystal, because she has NITI. And I was like, okay, backtrack. What do I know? Okay, let's feed this to her, and maybe she'll like give me something to latch on. That'll help me.
I thought it was interesting when I said to you, I was like, so you explained why you acted the way you did with TE, but I wanted to solve the fact that I feel resentment and anger. And
yeah, because I think I
here. So I was like, I'm trying to use FE.
Yeah, like I think I taught you that. Tell me what I did do, so I know I did something.
Yes.
Because if it was funny because I was literally like giving you a pep talk about how to deal with an ENFP coworker the other day, and so I was assuming that you must have like subconsciously applied that because I was like, I spent all this time and it meant nothing, and it's like, well, no, it meant something. This is what it did. Like,
that was me trying to use TE to acknowledge that I can see that with TE you were putting effort to solve the problem, but I was also point out how you literally have ignored the FE the whole time, and we're just using TE to explain your FI.
Yeah.
Energy between us is still the exact same as it was before.
Yeah, and see, see, to me, okay, wait, I'm gonna come back to that point.
I'm sorry.
No, it was a good point. So
what
I was saying was you were using TE and I was trying to use SE to observe that you must have had a point that I was missing something, and that's why I was able to stay calm instead of just, you're being a bitch, it's not my fault, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I take responsibility for my impact might not have been the way I wanted to, but now I'm confused on how to get there. So I was trying to like meta acknowledge that I was like in the dark too. And it's funny because I felt before that you're better at saying I'm in the dark in this way, and I don't like saying that stuff usually. But then I was like trying to think there is something I am missing. And in this case, I think a big thing with me when we fight that you might not have appreciated before, but if you compare to your ENFPX, you might see is that I hate using FE during a fight, because I feel like if I get sappy and like sad and be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, but I don't feel like sorry, then that's using like demonstrative FE to like manipulate you into like shutting up. And I don't want to do that. And I think that's like a worse thing to do in the long term than being honest about, I'm bitchy enough to feel like I'm being self-righteous here, and I would much rather show you that, the real me. And that's why I like don't use, that's why I'm so mean and cold in fights, I think, because I'm just like, I don't feel like being nice, and if I don't feel like being nice, it's gonna come off fake, and you're gonna see it from a mile away.
Your FI, like I'd rather be stubborn that way than, because like I was with this guy for a year, and it took me too long to realize
the
ENFP guy. It took me too long to realize that I kept taking him back because he kept apologizing for everything. But
and I'm like, but I'm not sorry. So lying and saying I am sorry wouldn't make sense because I can't keep the lie. I can't keep the lie fucking up.
Literally, it's so easy to get me back. Just admit what you did wrong, apologize, say you love me. But like, I don't have good SI, and so I wasn't seeing like red flags. I was taking each situation as a new situation, so it took me way too long to realize that the same pattern was happening again and again, because that's what an ENFP would have been like looking out for.
And I think like for me, like it's so funny because when I look at you, all I see is like you're like hardcore like a judgy and skeptical TI instead of like nice Megan, who if you're nice to her, she'll do like I just don't even think to like use that.
like every single time we fought, like, you know this, but like I never think you're being malicious. Like, I think that you have a responsibility for your actions, and I think that your TI blind spot makes it hard for you to really know, like,
Oh, that's nice, because like I think I'm attempting to take responsibility, but whether it actually works in the FEs,
I think it's hard for you because the way you view responsibility seems to be kind of all or nothing, where you're like,
yes,
well, I know it wasn't
yes,
all
because
my fault, and you can't blame all me. And I'm like, well, I'm not trying to blame all you. Like,
yeah.
we're
And
both
so
roles.
yeah, you've trained me into thinking there are certain things that I can take responsibility for and certain things that like aren't my fault. And
Yeah. I think you
but
just
then
get afraid
yeah,
with FE because it's also like, I think you assume that there's an FI beneath it, where like I am trying to label your character as bad, or like saying like you're malicious, or you meant to do this, or you're evil, or like any sort of FI judgment. That I don't have any FI judgment on you. I've always, every single time we fought, I always think that you have pure intentions, pure heart. Every single time we fight, it's been a misunderstanding, in my opinion. Like, it's been just two of us having different personalities.
And like I've tried in fights now to be like, I'm just mad that at myself for it. And like last night I was trying to be more like, it's my problem, blah blah blah, and like make it clear that like that's what I was seeing, but then you were pointing out, but not talking about it and just making it your problem isn't good either. And I was like,
I think you've done a really great job of trying to really parse through what parts are your responsibility and what parts aren't, without feeling like you have to be like a martyr and take the blame, or like a victim of whatever the other person did. And it's hard. I think it's really hard for ENFPs to do that, to have like a more nuanced view of where your emotions are coming from. I think it's kind of TI and FE.
Yeah, and like back to like the demonstrative FE and emotional manipulation thing that FPs do, it is like all or nothing, because without TI we'll also become total martyrs. And like I wouldn't say like, yeah, I would say we would give too much without feeling like we have control over how much we're giving. Like we don't know how to scale it back the way TI can gradually. So like I haven't really done the force someone to do something they don't want to do thing before, but I have done the give too much to a person whose FI feel really sorry for and feel like I have to take responsibility for when I don't have to. And
I always
TI, I did not stop.
Naturally, very, very easily. It just almost feels like knocking someone down a slight notch if they do something that I feel doesn't really vibe with me. I don't have to get them completely out of my life or be like, I was wrong about you or anything. I just like, oh, you're slightly down a notch now, but you can always go up.
Yeah, like a big, like, you know, compared to like a lot of ENFPs I've never dated, I have like really strong boundaries with people, because I'm so afraid that if I give them anything, I'll just give them the whole thing back. And because I don't know how to like slowly let people back in or slowly phase them out. I'm just like stops responding, like ghosts. But what I try to do is use TE to be like, you are officially out of my life. Bye-bye. Like when I cut people off, like I let them know that from here on out, the behavior they'll see is I don't exist anymore. But when I let them back in, but see, when I let people back in, it's like, I don't really know. Like
I'm thinking of that one INFJ guy that you kind of like, that will like this one INFJ guy that would just try and sneakily follow you back on Instagram. And
you'd be like, yeah, Thomas.
You'd be like, hey, what are you doing? I thought I made it clear that you're not in my life. You're like, that's like you using TE.
Dude, I do not know to this day what the fuck he was trying to do. Like, was he trying to, because like I kept looking with FI, like, you must still care about me if you're like trying to sneak back in. And his FE is like, I just want to check up on how people are doing. I'm like, did you forget that like last few times we've like talked, you made me cry? And oh God, like, or he might not have known he made me cry.
It's so funny that an ESTP guy randomly did this to me too. And I don't know if there's sort of a parallel there, the same functions. Like people with those functions, but with perceivers first, I don't know if they think it's cute to sneak back into someone's life.
Oh, they're gonna. Oh my God, no.
I think it would be valuable if we can take a second to sort of explain what is FE, or what does FE look like when FPs use it, but can we also give the healthy and unhealthy extremes? Because I don't want to make it seem like every negative behavior that it must be like an FP or something, because I think that you use FE positively, like as a journalist, when you try and like
I use FE. What? I use FE? Just kidding. Go ahead.
I think you can use FE to your benefit to help meet like the FI goals or your TE needs like at work, to like try and get to know people and make them feel comfortable with you so that they share things with you that they wouldn't share other people.
I do that.
I mean, part of it is your FI being charming, but I think you're also good at creating like a nice emotional environment around you, you know? And like,
as my ENTJ friend told me I do at work.
So look at you, you're just like, do I do that? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, thanks for sharing my ego.
Yeah, and I mean, like, if we want to also compare to my demonstrative, my NE, it's not always me being paranoid. Like, it also is
you being fun.
It's also like me helping my boss come up with 5 different ways to say a headline, or you know, like not all access to these 5th and 6th functions are going to be bad, but still, even when it is good, even when the motive of using FE in an FP is good, it's still rooted in FI. You still have like a personal emotional reason why you're doing it, and I don't relate to that. So can you sort of explain that?
Let's talk about, well, I can fixate on healthy on extreme first, because I think that when demonstrative FE is used, it feels like us taking all the FI we feel and pushing it out into the world. This is the mechanism for both good and bad FI, or bad FE, sorry. So it just depends on what the FI is feeling. So I feel like, wow, oh my God, I can't lose this person. I'm going to like push with all my might to make the fuck sure that they stay with me. Because that's the TE that's going to make my FI happy. It's not really about the other person. Or maybe it's about, like, you could rationalize it that, like, oh my God, like, he also wants to be with me. He just doesn't know it. And I know I want to be with him. And so I want him to be happy and me to be happy. So therefore, I'm going to push and force us to be together, and he'll thank me in like 10 years or something. That would be like an example.
Wow. This whole thing though of like pushing your FI out, I think that's what everyone assumes FE is, and it's not. And I mean, my blood's boiling right now. Like not at you, but oh my gosh, like that's not what I do.
Yeah.
Like, can you explain through your FI eyes, like how I people wouldn't believe me when I say that whenever I'm exerting, not my.
So I have a theory on how FE and FE like DOMs works, like FJs. So I'm going to parallel that in a second when I finish explaining the FI mechanism, because So this FI mechanism of pushing out, it always literally also feels like I'm pushing myself out, because I think as I've gotten kind of more in touch with my SI, like the true energy levels I have, I become more tired. And so I notice when I really have to like force myself to smile, force myself to talk more, force myself to do anything. And it literally feels like FI, like, hey guys, FI. Hey, like it feels like I'm like leaning forward and pushing the FI. Like I literally feel like that, because I think I'm a little less, I don't like using FE as much as a lot of other FPs, but it's literally like the root and here's the tree. So,
and that whole thing about pushing is so important, because for me, it already exists outwardly. It's abundant.
Yes, exactly. So, so healthy FI pushing out is, I want so badly to make people happy because that makes me happy. And so, hi, like we push it out, and we go, I care so much about doing justice for you that I will fight for your right to, like that's kind of like
that's
healthy,
so good.
Noble FI too. That's me when push comes to shove, grabs Megan's phone out of her hand, even though I don't even fucking know her, because my FI was believing in this bitch needs to break up with her toxic ENFP ex.
Yeah, let's say what you did then really quick, because that was a good example, because literally I broke up with my ENFP ex in 2014. This is how Crystal and I became friends. And he was using unhealthy FE. He kept calling me. I broke up with him, and he called me literally over and over. Even though I told him to give me space, he just kept calling me. And
it was bad.
And then I was starting to feel guilty. Like his emotional manipulation was starting to work. And then
and I saw it coming. I was like, and my FI was like,
then she came in with her own emotional manipulation, but in a noble FI way.
Yes. No. Okay. Yes. Because my FI was like, Meghan needs to not be with that person. It makes me uncomfortable to see such a strong, independent, lovely, kind person being pushed to be someone's ego boost. And then, because her boyfriend, to me, I didn't know that much about type yet and how FE like works.
This was so long ago that it's fine, like, you know.
Yeah, I at least knew that he was an ENFP like me, so I knew that I could match his behavior to what I would feel. I was like, he's doing that, he is toxic, and he's being selfish. So I was like, I'm not going to let an innocent little girl be like selfishly whooped over the head by this like fucking toxic like random little boy. So then I literally drove her to McDonald's. He was calling her, texting her. I took the phone away from her, handed her a drink, and was like, no, you cannot have this. And that was my FI being like, my FI feels that the FE that needs to happen is she needs to be done with him. Like that is the emotional outcome.
And that's so TE because it's a goal that your FI wants. And
but see,
I'm not
but see, it was my FI coming out like, no, I'm emotional. You deserve better. Let your pep talk. I don't think any FJ would in a million years ever be as pushy.
I would have felt like it wasn't my place. And I've had lots of friends that I think were in bad relationships. I felt like it wasn't my place to say because I don't know them and stuff.
Yeah, I'm like the angel of death, and I've broken up like 3 or 4 like relationships with my friends now.
Yeah, if
and
you
they're
ever
like,
are considering breaking up with your boyfriend, talk to Crystal for a few minutes and she'll convince you.
Yeah, okay, because sometimes I don't say break up with them. Like in the case of my INFJ friend, I said, try this first. If it doesn't work, then break up with him. And it did work. And I was like, oh, okay. And like, it's always my FI desire to help or like shut someone out. That is it. So like for me, I've never cried and been like, stay with me or something about a friend or like a boyfriend, because my FI is trying to honor like their FI might not want to fucking be around me anymore. So whatever. Some people though, they literally believe with their FI, they're exerting it, that they're trying to read the other person's FI and act on that. So then they'll exert an emotion that's matching what their FI feels, for better or for worse. And this is demonstrative FE. It's not rooted in TI, like rationalizing what you should do and then doing it. Like it's very emotion. Yes. Like the momentum is the FI behind it. So that's what FPs do.
Yes.
FJs don't work like that. So, so FJs, okay. So my DOM function is NE, and to me, I just walk down the street and like possibly just pop out. And FJs, I feel like what they do is they walk down the street, emotions just come at them, their own emotions like come at them, but they're not like FI rooted. They're more like observing, I could feel this way, says something, tests it out, waits for a reaction. Oh, you don't feel that way? Okay. It's just like mirror, 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 like blah, blah, blah. And well, I'm like this fucking bubbling volcano of like magna, and it's gonna like explode and it might burn you or it might keep you warm. But like FE is like, like it's like floating up here. It's not very deep. So all you have to do is say something positive. It might kind of, it's very mutable and like reflective.
Changeable.
It's very
I just
cute.
want to say really quick before I forget, this is kind of off topic, but I want to say this is why I know, one of the reasons why I know that my INFJ girlfriend is so great for me is that your FI is like, yay, great for you. And like everyone else I've dated, you have always pretty much tried to get me not like them.
Yeah, I'm like, are you sure he's good for you? Like, yeah, like it's what I ask. And also, it's like
the first time I've dated someone where you are like using FI, like even if I've been in a fight with her before, you like will use that same exerting your FI out to be like, no, you guys are perfect for each other, yay.
Yeah, or like, you're being so mean to Jess, please stop. Shout out to Jess if she ever watches this. But like, yeah, like, and also it's been to SI, it's also been long enough that I'm like, they're fine. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of like on high alert for like the first few months whenever you've dated someone. Like, kind of like, I'm waiting for them to screw up. like sort of. And if they don't, like after a certain time, like, okay, but it's been like pretty nice. Like she hit the 6-month mark and I was like, oh, I think it's improving the relationship. So good. But anyways, back to FE. I think FJs are observing constantly what they feel. They're like, blah, 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 blah. They might not even remember what they said about how they feel. It's just kind of lightly like there. So even when they're mad, they're still like waiting for this to change. Tell me what you feel. Blah, blah, blah. And FI is like, I hold grudges. Like fuck you. Like FJs will only be like, logically, you make me confused, so I'm mad now. But if it's like, I just feel this way, like it's like they don't access FI. Like if you feel them have like grit, it's probably because their TI is confused. But it's such a different process than FI being like, hey, and feel like personally attacked and stabbed.
I think like, it's like you might see us as being indignant. You guys might
like,
see us as
what?
being indignant, and so you might think that means that we're holding on to our FI and unwilling to change that. When really,
oh my God.
Like even like last night, for example, the gist of it is that Crystal and a friend made up and she didn't tell me, and it wasn't a big deal, but the only thing that bothered me was that she said something like, oh, you don't know, it happened like months ago. And I was like, don't act like I should know when you didn't tell me or whatever. But anyway, like my own FI, I didn't have many feelings about Crystal's action, but my TI was indignant about, don't you dare act as though I should have known something that you didn't even
That doesn't make sense. Hey,
like I was like blasting with like FE still, but like the thing that I'm indignant about is the truth that she didn't tell me and acted as though I should have known. But I wasn't indignant in like I'm mad sort of.
Yeah, and see, for me, an equivalent was my TE was kind of like, oh, you should have known. Nah, nah, nah. And she was like, TI, like, excuse me? Versus like FE will be like, oh, I feel bad, blah, blah, blah. FI, oh my God, you feel bad? Ah! And FE is like, yeah, I feel bad, like, oh, blah. Like it's like so like light comparatively. It's like lightly holding it. And so
wait, so that's interesting. So when you were like, oh, you should have known, like you weren't that sure of it. And it was like,
I wasn't really.
It felt like,
oh, you should have known.
It was like, oh, okay, I guess I just forgot. Like it wasn't.
You're like, I'm mad about that. I'm like, oh, she's mad. And like, so then FI reacts. But if you were like, and then once we pieced together the timeline, I was like, I just misremembered. Like I was like, I misremember all the time. And then we were like, oh shit, like, but yeah. So basically, your TI was like, oh, hey, you aren't gonna question my logic of how I remember things. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I could have just misremembered too. Maybe I didn't tell you. Like, I could have sworn I told you. And you were like, no, you didn't tell me. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, logically, I might have messed up. Or she might, like it's like so funny because like.
Extroverted functions are more, we expect them to change with every moment. Yeah.
NE is like, well, I think this is true. Wait, but this is like it's like NE just like kind of like looks around and like sees different things all the time. Just how FE is just like, I'm sad. And then something might come around to make them not sad instantly. But for me, if I'm sad, there ain't nothing happening to make me not sad unless it's specifically addressing the FI thing I'm sad about. Like, it's like I'm numb to like everything else in the world. But FE might like be like, I'm sad, so I'm gonna watch Netflix. Now I feel better. That's so weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm hanging out with friends. I'm like, oh well.
Because I'm never sad about anything specific. That's the thing. Is like if you are stuck on, like, for example, hopefully this isn't TMI, but it's like a lot of Crystal's FI has been sad about the fact that like your love life. It's like, and what I was literally just explaining to her last night was about how everyone has to sort of make choices and prioritize things in life. And to me, looking at Crystal, it seems clear that she's prioritized other things over dating. And so that's just a specific area that you have FI about because of events in your life. And so you have stronger, like you aren't emotional about like work, but you know what you're emotional about.
Yeah.
And I mean, like lately I've just been stressed, tired. I don't focus on, oh my God, I hope this one relationship. And see, what I'm trying to illustrate is that Crystal's FI, it's so directly connected to TE because only TE can solve what you feel. You are focused
Yeah.
on what you feel, and only like falling in love right now could change that. Not much.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
watching
taken.
TV can't change
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Like,
But
if you're
see.
watching TV, you'll still not have a boyfriend. You know, like
Oh my god, no, but that's so true. But to
like,
me, it's like watching TV or like driving around or doing something else might give me an NE insight to help me with another fact about, despite the fact that you don't have a boyfriend, it's okay or something. But it still would, even making myself happier and doing something else would still be me addressing that FI. It would just give me maybe like another like kind of avenue or creative idea to address my FI, but I would still be focused on, we're gonna fix my FI in some way.
And the
So
cause of most of my suffering is TI thinking about things incorrectly, or being too harsh on me, or being too harsh on the world, or having like limiting beliefs screwing me up. And so watching TV does help, or like listening to music does help, because it gets my mind off of things. And a lot of times my mind is just running too quickly, and all I need is a perception shift, and then the emotions just automatically switch, because I'm never focused that strongly on a specific emotion.
Yeah, for me, it's like an idea that might inspire me to think of my problem differently, but it's still my problem. But like, if I were logically confused and like sad because my TI was like not sure what I believe about like something, I could just distract myself and be gone. So like, FE is just make it happy and it's happy. It's like
It's
FI,
almost
like
like,
trying to make it happy, it still might decide to not be happy because the problem might still exist.
would you agree that, because I've noticed a lot of FE users, people might see it as like running away from their problems, but I kind of feel like if FE is monitoring their emotions so much, or like, I feel so bad, and forgetting that tomorrow's a new day, then it's actually not great for us. Like, almost like it's almost healthy for FE to not think about your emotions and just move on
I
to the
think
next
so,
thing, and then
because
the emotions will catch up with you. Like, at least
yeah,
I feel, because it's so transient.
yeah, because you don't have TE, and I feel like without TE, thinking about your feelings actually isn't productive. Because for me, if I think about my FI for long enough, my TE actually does like even it out with a thought that will comfort me and tide me over, and I just have to access it. That's why I dwell so long. Like, I make progress every time I process my FI. Like, I think about the world differently, but I don't think FJs work that way. I think they kind of drown without any TE to like cap it.
Yeah, because then I just go deeper and deeper into my TI, and like diagnosing all the problems with the world and having no idea how to solve them.
Yeah, I definitely like like I've definitely like noticed that, like telling you a like and like whenever I've tried to help you, I've tried to like I kind of like, for an FP, solving their like emotions is, if they talk about it for long enough, their FI will automatically organize into TE and help them like see it, and then they'll find their own solution or like find a new perspective. Because like for me, it's like thinking like, oh, I'm sad about my love life, but wait, if I don't love myself and I get a boyfriend, I'm still not going to be happy. Like, that's a fact I always can like find myself coming back to and understanding if I think about my FI for long enough.
Yeah.
And once I come to that conclusion, I'm like, okay, we have to remember that, because I don't have TI to just know that all the time. I have to like find my way back to the TE by myself.
It's
So
almost
it's
like your TE pointing out different facts that are contributing to you being not happy, and trying to get you to zone out of just that one FI, because it's like, not having a boyfriend makes you not happy, but also not loving yourself might make you not happy. And so it's almost like your TE being like, hey, there are other facts that you can work on as well.
Yeah, because it's like, because, you know, and also because I have NE, so I don't know how SFPs would do it, but like for NE, it's like I always run through scenarios of, well, would this make you happy? No, it's all within. Like, it's like I do that, and so I have to like let myself do that process, and then I'll like come to a TE. All right, this is what it is. I think FE, similarly, they always talk about their emotions not because they're FI venting, but because they actually don't know what they feel in an organized way. And so they want to like see the full thing come out to be like, okay, I feel sad. Like it's like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I'm sad. Here's why. Blah, 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 blah. Here's maybe something to tide me over. By the time I'm done talking, and FE is like, I feel like maybe I'm sad. Okay, I'm sad. Like, But then that's it. Like, you can go and now that you've concluded what you must feel, you can go watch Netflix.
What I feel, I don't need to
don't have to think about it more. It's like such a reverse thing because your TI is like, okay, well, now we know that when this experience happens, you must be sad.
It's interesting though because betas, so like NFJs.
Am I doing a good job of explaining what I think FE is as opposed to FI? Because I'm like really trying here.
So like, I remember I dated an ENTP that thought that I dwelled in my emotions a little too much and always suggested watching Netflix and just distracting myself. I'm thinking about how like betas, like, like we can just move on, but like our NI still wants to know why it's even happening to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Where I feel like alphas, like SFJs and NTPs, it really is not helpful to sit and dwell in like
because they don't have any SE to be realistic either, you know.
Like it's almost hopeful for alphas when they use their FE to use NE and literally just forget about it. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know.
I actually think so because it makes them more pleasant to be around and it helps them find a solution through the NE throwing things at them faster. Like seriously though.
I feel like you weren't all the way done talking about something earlier.
Okay. Well, basically, I was just, let me try to sum it up. So FI pushes out its emotions and it looks like FE, but in reality it's just TE, being pleasant. And FE is like kind of just always talking, always trying to observe, not really like holding on to anything that closely. So if you're always like I think so many FPs have like this like narrative of like they were really close with this FJ and then the FJ like makes them feel betrayed and they're like, I didn't see you correctly, and they like phase out and the FJ is like, what the fuck did I do, or something. And so I just think that it's because the FP has realized that the FJ didn't have that deep of emotions, but they don't realize that that's an entire function to how humans process. And it's not that the FJ is just like, I have FI, but I don't fucking care about you. It's more like they literally just have a different emotional expression.
Wait. So is it perceived as though personal that it's like for FPs, are you hurt by FJs because it seems like our emotions don't run deep for you, but that they run deep for other things or other people maybe?
I think it's that they don't run deep for us. I don't think we're looking at if they are running deep for other people. I just feel like we think that they care about us more than they do from the offset, and then we're like really upset when we realize they don't have a deep FI about us or something, because like FJs will come off really strong at the beginning in terms of to an FP at least, because the FJ will be like, oh, like you're the best, or they'll say really gushy things. That takes a lot of FI for an FP to say, so I think we'll assume the FJ is like obsessed with us, and then we're like, they're not.
Oh my god,
that's confusing to us because you probably had this happen with some INFPs.
Yeah, I know. You definitely know this one guy that all I did was think, oh, we have music in common, let's talk about it, and he thought I was obsessed with him. Like this.
Yeah, because like FJ is so expressive, but it's like kind of like shallow-ish. Like they're naturally really gushy.
This one INFP guy, he literally ended up telling me, like 2 years later, I even considered being interested in him. He told me that he went back and forth for like a year trying to figure out if I was genuine. And like, then he did.
When he said genuine, he meant, did you have FI? Are you an FI good person? He can't tell, like, you know, because FE doesn't, you can't read FE the way you read FI.
So it's not just like genuine as a person, but also trying to read if I have FI for them and if it would be worth investing. Well, I feel like he discovered that I don't.
Yeah, he did. Like, your conclusion is correct. He found out that indeed you don't. So in his mind, who actually rejected who? He doesn't know.
It's funny though, because my TI ended up judging him after like a month.
So you did have a deep emotion about him. It just wasn't good.
Well, no, yeah, but
it was
that's
a deep TI emotion. Like, a deep TI emotion.
Like with FE, like I'm trying to discover how could I feel or whatever, and so maybe I could have, if situations were different, had a deep emotion.
Yes. Oh my god.
Since he was so quick to think that I was obsessive, my TI automatically judged him and automatically did not care about him anymore.
Oh my god, that's like, hilarious. Yeah, it's funny because like this is why Tinder and casual dating and stuff is like fun for FE users, but I've always become so angsty. I'm just like, give me that
Oh
here!
yeah, I mean Tinder. I have been literally on Tinder every time that I've been single since age 18. It's
Oh
just
my
the
god, I
way-
cannot relate.
but see, my FI was never seeking anything. It was just more feedback to figure out what I like and what I don't like.
Yeah, like for me, it's like I want to make friends, but on Tinder, everyone's FE is just like, hey, like you're hot.
And
Let's hook up. I'm like, I
especially
don't
for
want to
that,
hook up.
I feel like betas like Tinder the most. There's so many freaking
Mm.
STP guys on there. But anyway,
Oh my god, don't remind me. It's repulsive.
I'm just saying, like for me, it was a jumping off point. Every time I have been on Tinder, it would be a jumping off point for my NI to analyze and like synthesize what sort of people I go for and what sort of people turn me off.
Yeah,
So,
for me, my FI and TE already knows, like, I want this kind of quality in a guy. It's not our physical. It's mostly, like, the way they
I don't know how you
handle
would
stuff.
know that.
I think it's just, like, a complex
It takes
archive of...
TE to know, like,
It must be, yeah.
because to even know, like, what even are all the qualities that people could be? It's almost like
See,
this very
it's,
objective.
like, weird. It's, like, weird to me that you wouldn't be able to just from living life. Like, looking at people, like, watching movies, like,
I know
listening
how
to...
I want to feel, but I feel like TE can sometimes.
Ooh, see, I wouldn't know how I want to feel. I would just know what I would like being around. So
I feel like TE, like the way that TE works, it's like, oh, there's funny people, there's like people that are passionate about their job. Like you like categorize them in a completely different way.
I do. It's like a cross categorization. Like there's funny people, but there's also funny people who are actually really serious and angsty. There's funny people that actually can't take anything seriously. There's funny people that just like there's so many FI iterations of like one quality. It's like it's like subdivides. I think part of it's also my NE is able to like conceptualize those things. But I'll go like I want a TJ, but not just any TJ. The TJ has to be blah blah blah. And it's all like subconscious. Like I've never said out loud what I
FI
want.
is so picky, but also because you know what works and what won't work because you have TE.
Yeah, we've been tracking for our entire lives in existence what we like and what we want in the world, in ourselves,
in
and
the
other
TE
things.
ways that are even available of like things you could get it. I'm not like that at all.
Yeah. And I can tell you what I don't know I want too. Like that's how you're like TE is thorough like that for me.
And the way I view it, like I mean, dating is a good example, but like the way I viewed it before is that I'm like, I want there to be, you know, emotional maturity of the person, and I want and see. So there are like things that I are like deal breakers.
Mm-hmm.
It's maybe kind of FE and TI, but that could look in so many. That could look so many different ways. You don't know.
But
you don't
for
know
me,
if someone has emotional maturity right off the bat. You don't know how serious they are about their passions right off the bat. Like the things I'm looking for, it's almost like TI, and so it takes a second.
It's funny because for me, I can right off the bat tell, like for the most part, how emotionally mature someone is, and then like subdivide how much over time. So people seem to rarely surprise me. Even though it's weird because they always say
people always surprise me.
I don't think I've been really surprised by virtually anything, even down to like this ENFP friend of ours who just told us something shocking about her like love life. I'm like, I wasn't shocked either. Like I was even joking that it would happen if I left them alone, which I did. I didn't go and see her, and I was like, oh. But like, it's like I'm always like, ah. Oh wait, I'm not surprised.
I'm always, and I think this is sort of related to being an NJ as well. But I'm always waiting for things to be revealed to me because I see how things could be. Anyone could be emotionally mature, and I'm only seeing an SE snapshot of what they're like now.
Oh my god. Yeah. And like, see, for me, I'm always like, my FI is like pushing itself out there to like test people constantly, manipulate them into showing me their true selves in a TE way. So there you go. There's another.
Like, even with my INTPX, for example, maybe you would interpret it as me being wrong about him. But not to go into all of it, but what I literally think is that in the SE he was one way, and now in the SE he's not that way. He
See,
decided
to me,
to divert.
to me, I knew he was always capable of being like crazy because he was so like preoccupied with himself. I just didn't know how much
I did
you
not
could or
catch the
couldn't handle.
crazy. I did not catch the crazy at all.
I just
thought,
can't. Yeah.
like, I guess this is an interesting example, but it's like this one INTP guy I dated. It's like all I saw was that he cared about being a good person.
See, for me, whenever someone wants dating advice about whether to break up with someone, it's like I'm always like, I can tell you exactly the ways they'll screw you over and you'll screw them over. It's just, I don't know if you can handle it. Like, because I
freaking tell me these things.
Well, I don't know like that instantly, but like I can like guess. I don't like saying it. I can tell you exactly how. It's just I can't estimate how much you can handle, so I can't.
I know what I can handle. I just don't know what they'll do.
Well, I mean, no, because until you live it with SE, you don't.
No, I literally
right?
feel like I do know what I can handle.
Okay, well, by that vein, I always knew a TP wouldn't be able to satisfy your emotional needs, but I didn't know what your goals were.
I wish you would have told me that way sooner.
Well, I saw the pattern. I saw the pattern was you keep going for TPs because you needed something from their TI, and so I just assumed that that's what you were prioritizing. So I know.
But you thought maybe I could handle whatever. It's like, well, whatever. Things work as they do. Now I'm with an INFJ that actually meets my emotional needs.
But see, I didn't have TI about it, so that thought would come and go. So if I didn't say it, I literally would forget about it.
Maybe I was being illogical with TE, where I was literally searching for a TP that would meet my emotional needs. Maybe that's not possible. You know what I mean? Like, it could be possible. And I'm not trying to have anyone think that it's not possible for a TP to meet someone's emotional needs, because it's not true at all. What Crystal's reacted to is that me as an FI, SI individual has a lot of emotional needs. Maybe even farther beyond.
Not all FJs do.
No, not all FJs do
the same way. Yeah.
Not even all ENFJs.
Yeah.
I know ENFJs that are perfectly happy with TPs. But I think you see me as like a Leo with an Aries moon, Cancer rising. You know, like you. I don't know.
And also that I know you, yeah. Because like, for example, like
she's seen how I've asked for more and has never been okay with TPs I've dated.
Yeah, and like an ENFP friend of ours, she has dated more TJs, but she has like more FE needs than I do, and I have like a lot of TE needs, and I'll even send screenshots and people be like, oh, your TJ friend was so rude, and I was like, oh, they're so cute though. It's like every single person is so different, so whenever people say these people match better, I'm like, I don't want to say that's gospel though, because it's not. So like, but yeah, like how do we even get on that topic? I think it was just me like commenting on the idea that I think I can tell with TE how someone fits together, but FEs are always kind of exploring their emotions more.
Yes.
Like they kind of like lightly doing this, like they're floating around, and FPs are like broody and like going deeper.
As like with scientific experience or scientific experiments, TI users probably already know what they think is going to happen, but they have to go through the TE scientific process to just see. But the TI user already knows. The TE is like, and like, let's see what the science says.
Yeah, and like emotionally, I can't tell what's going to literally happen, but I can tell when the conditions are set for something about to happen, because I can tell what someone's FI characteristics are, like all those things. Yeah, like for example, all the guys I like, they're both of the two guys I like right now, like there's various stages of disarray with like, you know, stuff like that. And I always kind of like, I'm not surprised. And so it's almost like, because I'm not surprised, the element of hurt, like the sting is kind of taken out more. It's kind of like, I'm like, if we break up, it'll be because of this. And if we get together, it'll be because of this. And if
I feel like also
I already know that.
NFPs seem to be really excellent at understanding like circumstances and timing, which I think is TE.
Yeah,
but like
very much so.
I remember,
like I knew exactly the circumstance under which, when I see this circumstance happen, I'm like, this will happen, and then it does, and I'm like, I was joking.
I ignore TE so much that like I like could, let's say, start dating someone, and then if they are dealing with depression, or like, okay, for example, I dated somebody who was an ISTP that was about to start a business. When the TE conditions is that he was obviously going through a lot. He was starting didn't have
Mm-hmm.
time to invest in me or whatever.
Yeah.
I like have this idealistic view of like, if it was meant to be, it will be. If it was meant to be, we can force the circumstances. And like, I think TE knows those things. But okay,
I'm like, if it was meant to be, then this circumstance would line up. But if it's not meant to be right now, then it won't line up.
well,
and you
I
can just decide if you want to wait.
to connect back what we were talking about is that I think you were explaining how FI pushes out, and I was trying to connect that it was because you have this TE knowledge. And I was trying to explain that I don't have that TE knowledge. And that's why it's almost impossible for an FJ to actually be using FE in the way that you're describing, because if I don't know the circumstances, if I don't know the facts of the matter, then how can I ever force what my own will onto people that way?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't, like, I literally.
Yeah, you don't even know. Yeah, you don't have enough tools in your back pocket to manipulate the circumstances.
Yeah. And
like, I'm like, oh.
Can you help explain this more? I know you probably have to go, but do you have time to explain that more? Because I'm realizing my FI, I'm feeling like misunderstood, and I don't want people to, I feel like people think I'm more capable than I am. And I want them to recognize what I am capable for, but also realize that when I'm not.
I'm capable. I think FJs aren't capable of, they're just so powerful that they naturally exert control over circumstances more than they realize. So all their power comes from unintentional stuff. So at the same time, like, it's kind of like people have to realize that when they assign motives to an FJ, that those are incorrect, even if they might feel manipulated by virtue of just the FJ like talking, in the virtue of emotions can make like a circumstance appear or not appear. But they have to like remember that like FJs and FPs have completely different motives and completely different knowledge of the tools they wield.
Yeah, because that's another thing that I've noticed is that FE or like FJs will share their emotions because it's honest and because it's truthful, not because they want you to do
FJs truly FJs are sharing to clear up a TI misunderstanding as opposed to get like a TE outcome. And I think this is a foreign concept, especially for like Ps, because they really like see FE and TE pretty clearly. Like, even though I don't use FE consciously, I'm still aware that like saying emotions can lead to certain like circumstances, and like TPs might feel something similar about like FE and TE.
Like if I was in a situation where I was not getting my way and I cried, it would not be so that I could get my way. It would be so that they would understand why I was upset, and they would have the TI
But see, someone might notice that you still got your way and therefore assume that was what you intended.
Yeah, and
when really it wasn't. So that, I think, is a distinction where you can't look at the external outcome of someone's actions to determine what their motive was.
Yeah, and my FE is that I think that if everyone was more honest about their emotions and we understood where everyone was coming from, then more people would get their way. We would have more time.
Yeah, precisely.
There's no reason why win-wins can't happen. It doesn't have
exactly.
Like, it's not.
I think that people just have to speak their truth more.
Yeah.
Also, it's funny because you're like, oh, like FPs have so much emotional influence in an FE way too. Is kind of what I like parallel. I forget. And right now, I literally have been watching me get like 6 like chat notifications from like group chats and like other people. Like my coworkers like, are you coming today?
We have 57 notifications.
Oh my god, yeah. Like my coworkers like, are you coming today? And like someone else is like, are you here right now? And I'm like, Jesus Christ, people.
I've been feeling that lately too. But anyway.
Yeah, like I'm just like, we're so popular. We're both ENFs, but we are completely capable. Like Megan would be an expert. And I can't even say that, like, I just don't think J's are that good at manipulating people because they don't really fucking know what they're doing in one area or another. Like,
yeah,
I just
we don't know what we want.
Enough.
We don't know what we want enough. If I had an FI, like, I'm always constantly figuring out what I want.
Seriously, I agree. Like, Megan is much more oblivious than people give her credit for, and trust me, I've been through the hack. I've been through it with you, and I'm like, yeah, like I just gotta remember she's oblivious.
I feel
And
like
I'll
it'd be
see
so
what we fight.
interesting. I feel like it'd be so interesting for if people saw Megan and Crystal in college at parties and all
Oh
of
my
the,
god, we should reenact it sometime.
literally though, like senior year,
A made-for-TV movie.
we would go to a party and then we would meet each other like at 10 a.m. the next day and discuss all the social dynamics for like hours. Like, oh, did you notice how the IJ crowd was over there in the corner the whole time? Or oh, did you notice?
Oh my
like,
god,
it
yes.
would be like so, like I don't know where I'm even getting this from, but I feel like I don't know if people realize how many people we knew like in college. Like Crystal was like so fucking popular.
What
like,
the fuck?
I felt like I was popular by association because
Oh my god, no! What are you talking about? You were older than me. You were a year older than me.
I couldn't even walk down the street without everyone like fawning over Crystal and being like,
oh, okay. Oh my god, what do people fawn over me? Besides, like, no one fawns over me. You're lying. Fake news.
Pretty much moral of the story, we both underestimate our ENF influence because like
like my SE is like, what are you talking about? Popular?
My SE is like there's only so many people in the journalism school and 90% of them knew Crystal.
Yeah, I think our ISTP, my ISTP roommate sophomore year was like 1 out of 3 people knows Crystal Dwan, and apparently someone administered a social experiment where every time they invited a new person over, they asked if they knew me, and apparently they got like a 60% yes rate. But like random ass people. Yeah, but it was like people from all over the literal college. It wasn't just the J school. So, I mean, I guess they thought it was pretty high. So, I don't know why it was the subject of this, though. I was like, what the fuck? I feel harassed.
Because this is also, last thing I'll say, because I could tell you're trying to leave, is that I think this is also the way that FPs exert FE, is that you're still using FE. Every time you'd go to a party, you would ask people their name and you would like get to know them. And there's actually a conversation going on Twitter not too long ago about small talk that Kat was doing. And I was explaining how I think that ENFPs are way better at small talk because you kind of need SI. And we can make another video about this another time.
Mm-hmm.
But, like you kind of need SI to have like a jumping off point of like, I can make any situation interesting.
That's true. I can make small talk and then turn it into big talk against the person's will by manipulating them.
I think everyone likes you when they first meet you, but the people
and then they realize I'm not that great.
Yeah, okay, no offense, but that's true. And I think that people don't know what they think about me when people might not know what to think about me at first, but then once they do know me, they're like obsessed with me.
Yeah, like for me, they realize I'm way bitchier and don't actually like them that much eventually.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Do you think it's an FE thing that people don't know what to make of me at first?
Yeah, because people are suspicious of FE because they're scarred from an ENFP manipulating them.
Oh, fuck. Anyway.
It's our fault. I'm telling you, it's our fault. Make the title of this episode FE. It's all the ENFP's fault. Just kidding. Don't do that. But yeah. All right, I gotta go.
Be asking you for help with the title later. But anyway, thank you guys.
All right.
Thank you guys for watching this video. Join the Facebook group that's linked below. If you want to work with me one-on-one, that's below. And have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, Kristen.
Bye. Bye, Megan.